welcome back to Full Court Press. I'm your host for today. My name is Tommy McGinn. We have special guest Brady Henderson with us today. Thank you for joining us, Brady.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
All right, this weekend was full of great games. We're going to start off with our first game, which is Team Henderson versus Team Calderon.
Yeah, a real big win for us. Feels good to be in the win column for the first time this year. I think we're back. We played probably the best two teams in the league, first two games, and we really proved ourselves, Brady.
Yeah, I feel like last year coming off of a championship, this year we went 0-2 at the beginning. Everyone was really doubting us, and finally we got a win, really bring some good vibes to the team. Maybe we can finally start racking up some wins here, so I'm really grateful about this.
I have a question for you, too. What are your thoughts on Noah Nurse, and what has he provided for the team last game?
Oh, he's provided so much. Towards the end of the game even, I was getting pressed, and I would just look up. He would be wide open every time. He made so many great layups. For instance, when Brady would miss one, Noah would go right up, get the rebound,
all right.
Put it right back in. He's one of our young stars. And another young star we have is freshman Jelani. He had 6 points this week. He's a real good shooter, and I'm looking forward to some big things from him this year.
How do you call it a good win when Calderon hasn't even beat a good team yet? It was their first true test.
Well, they did win 2 games by 30 points. Vincent and Joel, that's a good duo right there. And we kind of shut them down, holding them to 37 points. I'd say that's a big win for us.
I agree with Jake. You need to put respect on Team Henderson's name, but you also need to put respect on Jake's name. Last episode, Drew absolutely slandered Jake. Probably one of the worst
Disrespectful.
That was blasphemous.
He said, to quote, he will not top, or his ceiling is 10 points. Jake proved him wrong.
I put up 11
points.
this week,
Absolutely.
Really showed him, I think we're going to go on a big run. We have a team last next week. That should be a piece of cake for us. And look out for us.
Yeah. And I want to say Vincent and Joel had 25 of Calderon's 37 points, really their main scorers. And it turns out that the scorekeeper for Team Calderon gave 3 of Vincent's points to Joel. A little bit of a mix-up there.
All right.
But other than that, they didn't really have a great scoring game, and overall it was a pretty good game.
All right, moving on to our second game, Team Naji versus Team Mccalla. Naji took this one 51 to Mcalla's 41. What are you guys' thoughts on this game?
So I think it's the same thing with Team Naji every week. Nobody can break the 1-3-1, so it's a big issue. But what do you expect out of Team Mccalla after Cespedes? They're just going to crumple, I think. I just don't see them being a good team, really.
One thing we have to address here is Jay's big injury. Obviously, we wish the best for him. Hopefully he can come back soon. That's going to really hurt this team going forward. I don't really know. I think this team just hasn't really put it together. They have so much talent, but they just cannot put it together. Matab is putting up 13 points. The pool party was on today for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, watching this game, obviously Mcalla's offense was super stagnant and they couldn't do anything against a 1-3-1. And now losing Jay, I'm not really sure what they could do in the future with Michael and Matab as their main players. Matab's going to really have to step up. But Jake, what are your thoughts on Michael stepping up later this season?
Well, Michael, I've played with him a lot. I know he's capable of good things, but right now he's just a fraud. Second-round pick, hasn't produced much this season. Very disappointing start, especially with Jay out. He has to be the leading scorer. This is a man who put up 15 points per game last season, an all-star, and now he's putting up 6 points a game, maybe 7. Very disappointing from him. He needs to step up if this team wants to go far.
One thing I saw in this game was Andy C is just such a great addition to this team. He really fits in well with their scheme. He brings the energy every game, and I could see him being a potential all-star this year for sure.
Definitely brings the Sellies too.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to point out Nate Schmidt. I feel like Team Naji doesn't really have a true center. It has to be Connor, but Connor likes playing a 3-4 role. But Nate Schmidt, even though he's not the tallest guy, he's really playing a good role out there as a 4 or a 5, and he was playing good defense on Cashman, and I thought that was really a big impact on the team.
For sure.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit last week. Do we think it's the coaching?
It might be, because Team Lusher, they focused so much on trying to defend Naji, and they did a good job. They held him to 5 points, but because of that, you had other players on Team Naji go off. Greg had a great game with 10. Andy played well as well. You also had Will Edinburgh, had a couple of big threes. Team Naji, I think, is just so deep. It was really a mistake to focus solely on one guy, and I think that also proves why, in my opinion, they're the best team in the league. The 1-3-1.
That's blasphemous.
The
That
1-3-1
is blasphemous.
is so deadly. They score so many points on transition, and they're just such a deep team. They really have no bad players on their team at all. So, I mean, who would want to play this team?
Well, that's some great takes there. We're going to move on to our other game of Martin versus Meyer. Martin took this game 49-34. AJ, this is your game. Would you like to comment a little bit on that?
We never really woke up. Like, coming off scoring 73 points last week, we barely put up like any points. In the first half, I think we were up 1, and then we just kind of flipped the switch. We got a little pep talk from Mr. Martin, and that really pushed us into the win.
Well, one thing I saw from this game is, no offense, but it seemed like Brendan was kind of carrying this team. He's the heart and soul of this team,
Of course.
for sure.
He's so tall. Nobody can stop him. No offense, Brady.
He reminds me a lot of
You're lucky you're not on our
taken.
schedule. You're lucky you're not on our schedule.
he reminds me a lot of a prime Dwight Howard. Yeah, but you have so many other role players like Cherie, Trey Cespedes. I mean, obviously you as well.
Naji putting up 8 this week. That's a
Oh,
big
he hit
performance
some
from
huge
him.
threes as well, yeah.
He gets so hot
some
really
deep
quickly.
threes.
Yeah.
Remember he took some of those in the playoffs for Naji last year. Didn't really work out well for them, but
He has a very short memory. I'm beginning to now notice.
Yeah, so I was pretty excited to watch this game, but I have to say, I found it rather boring.
yeah,
I
no
felt
offense,
like,
AJ.
I
but
felt like, especially in the
no.
first half, it just seemed like both teams were just kind of jogging up and down. Like they were playing at like 60%. Like it didn't feel like an intense game, and I was kind of disappointed by that. And I think Team Martin kind of came alive in the second half, especially Brendan. But AJ, I gotta say, I was quite disappointed in your performance as the lead ball handler for Team Martin. You know, you had a lot of chances, but you couldn't really make too many shots. Obviously, I think you'll bounce back, but 5 points, especially with like 4 in garbage time minutes, I know you can do way better than that.
I wouldn't say they're garbage time. I think they're crunch time in the last 2 minutes of the game. But I really iced it with my 2 buckets, back to back. Made it a double-digit game. It just ended the game. But I deserve mid from last week. But don't worry, I'll be back.
All right, we'll hope to see that. All right, moving on, we have the next game of Team Lombardo-McGinn versus Rams Alexander. Lombardo-McGinn took this game 47-39. I don't know, this game was really good, but I think Team Rams Alexander has to prove himself later on in the season. I believe you guys are going to play them later on in the season as well.
yeah. Week
What are you
7.
looking forward to when you play them?
So I noticed during their game that, I mean, I really like their defense, like especially during the third quarter.
Yeah.
I thought their defense was really good, but I really want to see them try out a zone defense because I feel like if they have Rahim in the middle there, and then they have a bunch of scrappy, athletic wings out there playing defense, that the defense looked really good. But playing them, I feel like they were able to keep it close, but then their offense was just kind of not. It wasn't rolling. Ari Jane obviously making a pretty big impact. I talked to him during the game, and I asked him, how's the game going? When it was a 2-point game, he said, yeah, it's pretty easy so far. And it was just a crazy quote from
It's
him.
just effortless for him.
Yeah.
He's huge. Where'd this kid come from?
Jake would know that all
Never
about
seen
Ari.
him.
God, he's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I think it was tied at halftime or maybe a 2-point game, and Lombardo-McGinn held Team Rams Alexander to 3 points in the first 12 minutes of the second half, which was crazy. So it ended up being like a 15-point game then, and so that was, I mean, that run really took over the game for Team Lombardo-McGinn.
I totally agree. Like, I think it was more towards the third quarter, like we kind of took off. When I was playing this team, we just really run at 2-3, and I didn't really see like a scheme of them trying to break that. It was kind of just like you had Cooper and JJ trying to like split the middle and like either take a layup or like a floater. I don't know. I think Cooper had a lot of threes that were kind of towards the end of the game, kind of made it close. JJ is leading the league in pukes per game right now. But yeah, it's a great game so far.
Yeah, I really worry about this team's offense. From what I saw, it looked like Cooper and JJ would kind of dribble up. They wouldn't have too much movement, passing, and they would just kind of end up shooting it. So I think a big fix for them is they need more out of Mikey. I mean, we've been waiting for him to have a big game, and so far he just hasn't done it yet. So I think next week they really have to focus on getting him the ball and making sure he scores.
Yeah, I really liked seeing Quinn Tua Campbell's confidence. He was definitely stroking some threes out there. He made a couple, so pretty good performance from him. I really like seeing players from other sports that don't really play basketball very much coming and playing. They're always really good at defense and athletic, and usually you don't see him on offense too much, but Quinn was definitely making his mark out there.
It's good to see.
You clamped me for sure. All right, moving on to the next game, we have Team Cespedes. This was Team Barry. Team Cespedes won by 2 games. This is a thriller of a game. What I noticed was Rahul just continues to absolutely dominate. For sure going to be an all-star. What are your guys' thoughts?
So I watched this game. I caught the fourth quarter. I was jumping back between Calderon and this game. And then I saw Rahul and Seabar go back-to-back threes, walking up and down the court, just pulling up. And then OT, excessive call for pass. He gets it.
Excessive call for pass.
Yeah.
Teammate grade.
Teammate grade's a C- on his team. Excessive call for pass. And then he just goes off because nobody can stop him. It's crazy.
I really want to see a little bit more of Cam. I remember he used to be a really good basketball player. I mean, he probably still is. And only putting up 10 this game, I haven't really seen him put up much more than double digits this season. And I used to go to basketball camp with him, and he was always really good, and he's super athletic. So I'm just wishing to see a little bit more aggressiveness out of him and see if he can actually get to the rim and get some points next week.
Drew sneaking onto the score sheet. I like to call him the kangaroo with his defense. He's a monster on defense, absolute beast.
I think he's as a sneaky DPOY candidate. I mean, DPOY usually goes, I won it last year, and that was just my paint defense and rebounding, and the favorite this year is Ari Jane.
Oh, absolutely.
But I like seeing a lengthy wing get out there and really play some defense, like an OG Anunoby type player, And so it's really good to see Drew as one of the best defensive players this rec season.
Mm-hmm. I think that DPOY usually goes to the most amount of blocks, and I think we need to take a good look at steals,
I agree, yeah.
and shutting down stars and stuff. But I'm really worried about this Cespedes 3-2. I don't know if they're gonna run it against us next week, but I don't know how I'm gonna break it. I can't lie.
One thing I wanted to shed light on was Colin Barr. He is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in rec ball. I believe he had 19 points. He can just stroke that three, and he's so good from deep.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch this game. They play at the same time as us, but like you said, Colin Barr, I said it in the first episode, he's a shooter, and I'm really glad to see that he was lighting it up last week. Also, ONT, I think, is starting to figure it out a lot more as the season goes on. Watch for him late in the year, maybe put up 20 a game. But also, Team Cespedes, 2 really close wins. I think that shows that they're a well-coached team, and in crunch time, they can really get it done.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous for next week. I can't lie, especially without Brendan. I'm gonna really need to step up, I guess.
Yeah, you are.
A little bit of a bounce-back game for us to win.
10 plus from you, AJ, okay?
10 plus, we'll see.
All right, moving on to the next game, we have Team Breen, 48 to Team's last 35. Not really a competition here between 2 of the probably bottom-tier teams in rec ball. What are your thoughts, Jake?
Well, I thought Team Breen played pretty well, actually. Breen specifically, he had a really good game. We highlighted him as an all-star at the beginning of the season, and he showed it this game. But for Team Last, it was really Brendan Esta. He carried so hard. I think he had almost half their team.
Yeah, 17
points.
of their
17 of 35.
Hunter played well as well for them, but I think if they want to be a good team, get some wins, they need more out of Ben. He didn't have a point this game. That can't happen.
Cannot happen.
Yeah, especially for a first-round pick. Spend more out of him. And Last really did keep this game close. I thought this was going to be their game to win this season. They had it was a 4-point game after the first quarter, a 4-point game after the second quarter. In the third quarter, with 2 minutes left, it was a 1-point game, and the fans were all in there getting rowdy. But I feel as soon as the fans left, I went back into the arena and saw it was a 10-point game, and I heard a lot of their energy might have been dropped after Hemanth got absolutely
Banana split
by Brendan Estefan. He was sliding across the floor. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was able to catch up with Hemanth after the game in school, and let's just say he had no explanation. he had no rebuttal. He just had to take it like a champ. And Esta is the first bone collector of rec ball. He gets that bone collector badge.
Yeah, Hemanth actually got his soul snatched. I heard he fell on the ground. It was really tough.
All right, jokes aside, Team Breen, I love their team actually. I think they're really underrated. Basically, their scheme is having Tim Breen bring up the ball, and then you have 2 really good scorers in Max Dulé and Owen Fiedler on the wings. They're both really good shooters. If you just look at the scoreboard, those 3 players are all putting up double-digit points. I think as the season progresses, I would love to see them continue to do well.
Yeah, I think Owen Fiedler and Max Dulé don't get talked to enough, or talked about, because 13 and 10, that's decent. That's good numbers, definitely. And if they can do this consistently, I think Team Breen could come back.
Definitely, yeah.
Especially if Timmy puts up 20.
I've yet to see Sawyer Kittredge. I don't know if has he played a game or anything.
I'm not sure.
Because I think this team was Breen Kittredge. But,
It is.
Yeah.
But
I know that he's
I know,
coaching.
I know
Mr.
he
Kittredge is coaching. So I just don't know Sawyer.
used to be a great A-team player. Like, he was the best player in his team back in travel ball. And I don't know, I haven't seen him. And so I'm hoping to see him get on the score sheet later this season. But then for last, I mean, this team really just doesn't have the fundamentals. They need to really learn their ABCs with basketball and start to pick it up. I mean, Brendan Estefan obviously carrying them, but I'm hoping to see some more out of their players. Maybe Sebastian Grillo get some points up. He's definitely underrated.
Yeah, Seabass actually wasn't in this game due to a track meet, so I wonder if it would have been closer with Sebastian.
I agree. All right, well, this has been a great week of rec ball. We hope it continues. Stay tuned for the TBA's Game of the Week at 10:15, which is Cespedes Martin. This has been a great week and hope it continues. This has been Full Court Press signing off.
Hold on, time out for a
Time out.
second. I need to do a sound check, so you're gonna go in order, but AJ, just give me a little bit of ABCs, and then Jake, and then Tommy, then Brady.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
You don't have to
H,
sing it.
You don't have to do the whole thing. I'm singing it, all right?
Keep going.
Yeah.
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
I like the element.
Yeah.
Q, R, S, T, U, V.
W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know
my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me?
All right, we're good?
Let's do your practice today.